begin, our WGA-TV has asked that I remind the members of the board and anyone who's speaking here that in order to help the sound be as clear and audible to people who are listening to this, please sit up straight when you speak. Try to speak into these microphones, and try not to put any papers on top of the flat microphones if you're up here speaking. Okay. The first item on the agenda is an update from Dr. Stella.
Dr. Stella's going to let me start.
Sit up straight, Mark.
I know. Sit up straight. Don't put any papers. Now I feel really bad. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's hard for me. I don't know.
I just wanted to say two quick things. The first is on the building project. Just the whole thing's is going great. The relationship with ESG is wonderful. They're responsive. They're cooperative. They're very can-do. The administration has been amazing. A lot of flexibility in all construction. The administration will consider absolutely anything, always with the education as a priority. So kudos, Dr. Stella.
Thank you so much.
And the staff, I'm not quite done. I'm still sitting up straight. The staff is, overall very positive, very flexible. Anytime there's questions, there's very open dialogue. The staff, can know as much as everybody else. There's continuous updates. I think you've seen some of them. So the staff is very well informed. And, again, we had the hottest weather of the year when school opened, and so the air conditioning, when they come in next year, will be very greatly appreciated, and I'm sure is lending itself to a lot of flexibility to get that done. The kids are happy, and the classrooms are full. The building was beautiful on day one. I was there when the teachers came. Work was still in progress. The day the kids came, absolutely beautiful. So, great start to school.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to another school year. And I would have to say the building already is safer, because with all the ceilings open throughout the entire school, we were able to do additional things, such as to reinforce the firewall that protects the classrooms. We're able to replace a lot of valves and controls and things of that sort, so we're getting ready for the heating season. And we were able to update the wiring for our fast computer network throughout the school, so that gave us a good opportunity. But there was plenty of activity at the school. In fact, I have to really, in addition to our project managers and our workers who work so hard during the summer, I really have to give kudos to our custodial staff and to our teachers, because the teachers came back the Tuesday of the week before children came back. They had 2 days on calendar. They had 2 days to set up. Many of our teachers come back weeks ahead of time and spend countless hours making sure everything is perfect. So they worked right into the late afternoon and evening. We opened the building on Saturday. Many of the teachers came back, and our custodial crew worked around the clock, and I mean really to the late hours. And on the Labor Day weekend, when many of us were on picnics and so on, they were working Saturday and Sunday. My heart was pounding the Friday before school opened, but school, when it opened, the hallways were pristine, they were gleaming. The school was ready for the children, and the teachers were ready for the children. It was such a pleasure to welcome them back, so many of them. We broke the 800 mark. We broke the 800 mark. Thank you, Board of Education and Board of Selectmen and Finance and citizens of Woodbridge, for help adding the teacher last year, adding the teacher this year. We found an internal one. We opened 3 new classrooms. We would have had a problem if we didn't do that. So right now we're within guidelines, class guidelines, and we broke the 800 mark. So we're substantially ahead of where the demographers said we would be 5 years ago. And again, I don't blame them, because it's the moving trucks that are coming. I interview parents, as I said. We have parents. Where are their children coming from? They're coming from neighboring districts. They're coming from districts in the state, the country, but we're getting additional families from other countries and new countries. I met 2 new families from Egypt, for example, last night, which is a new representation, and we have families from all over. So a great start. I always like to brag a little bit at the start of the year. Academics are very, very important at the school. So with our state standardized test in science, our fifth grade is the only one that takes it statewide. We were number 5 in the state, fifth place in the state. And over 50% of our children in the high category were at the super advanced category. So kudos to our teachers and our staff and Dr. Steppinger, our science coordinator, and for the town that values education, helping us with a science lab and helping us with our staffing. We care about the social emotional development of children too. As I probably mentioned before, 21 of our educators during the hot summer month participated in an institute dealing with social emotional development of children, run by 2 staff members from Beecher Road School who are national trainers in responsive classroom. But you might ask, how could they do it, Dr. Stella? The school was a construction zone. Well, John Hopkins School opened their campus to us, and we had 2 large air-conditioned rooms there where they participated. So social emotional is important, and we're going to be looking at that in this coming year, because as the numbers increase, security is very important, physical security, but we always have to watch out for the mental health of our children too. So that's an area that we'll be looking at. And physical fitness is very, very important. Again, we're very happy as one of many accolades to our children. One of our children participated in a national competition in Texas, a track event, and won the gold medal. So that's another example of that. And our children are entitled to a good learning environment, and again we thank the Board of Ed and the town and the citizens for helping us. Sure, there's some things that we'll have to work with as far as flexibility, but it's no problem. We're moving along with that. We're off to a great start with our community event. By the way, on the first day of school, a pleasure watching and meeting the parents and talking with them. Mrs. Skalatar was with us to greet the parents and the children, and also the fire marshal was with us, and the police officer Lynch was with us, and town officials were with us. So it was a whole community event, and there was a record crowd at our PTO ice cream social on Tuesday night. That's why I couldn't make the Rotary meeting that night there, but it was a crowd. I think we had sold 60 gallons of ice cream and 800 dishes or whatever, but it was wonderful to see the families, so it got us off to a good start. And there were 3 police officers helping us with traffic, and boy, did we need them. But it was a big help to see that happen. We received support from the town in so many ways. I would be remiss for not thanking our fire marshal and chief and the police department, also our regional health inspector, and our town official, Terry Gilbertson and Michael Rosso, who's the liaison with the building upgrade, because we want the work to be done at the school fast, but we want it done the right way. So these are people who are helping us, standing alongside and saying, okay, let's make sure from the health point of view this is correct. Let's make sure from the fire point of view this is correct. Let's check those steel beams to make sure. Okay, you say it's fine. Okay, let's do a double check. And so they've contributed greatly. So we're off to a great start, and thank you very much. I look forward to the presentation on the upgrade.
Before you go, Dr.
Yeah.
Stella, of course, I'd like to add my thanks and recognition to all the people you mentioned, but also to you, because you set the tone for the school. And anytime I'm there, it's so wonderful to see the spirit of Beecher Road School, and the children are so delighted to see you. I know you did a little dance for one of the children. You said you would do on the first day of school. Yeah. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful environment, and it keeps the children happy and learning. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. For our television audience, a new kindergarten child, a couple years back, I would see him come with his mother and so on, and I'd say, we can't wait to have you. When you come, I'm going to do a dance. And of course, I forgot all about that. So he came over to me and said, Dr. Snell, you promised to do a dance with everybody around, so I had to do a little dance.
We won't ask you tonight.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Now we're going to have a more detailed update on school construction. John Rice and Paul Gandy, if you'd like to join us. Paul, do you want to pull up a chair? Or?
Well, good evening, everyone. Margaret stole a little bit of the thunder, because I was going to start out with just commending ESG for the work that they've done so far. I think they've exceeded expectations in a number of areas. Number one, the amount of work that they've done so far over the summer. They got a late start. We had contract signing kind of close to summer, and so it was a late start in ordering equipment, having equipment there in time. but the amount of work that they've completed, the coordination with the contractors has been very impressive, and then also handling and resolving construction issues have been really impressive. Paul's going to go through a specific update with photos of what's been completed so far, but just from my perspective, to me, I think one of the most noticeable improvements to the building that no one would really notice, it's all above ceilings and behind walls, is the sealing of the building envelope. That was one of the things that we spent a lot of time addressing, how air leaks in and how people could feel uncomfortable. So they got all of that work done over the summer. They re-insulated and sealed the building. They ran the hot water piping from the north end of the building all the way down to the south. That's going to enable us to use the existing hot water piping for air conditioning next summer. All the mechanical equipment in the S-wing, the center pod area, that's been complete. And then the painting and new ceilings in the corridors. I walked the school the other day, and I agree with Dr. Stella that the building looks beautiful. It's the first time I've seen it at the beginning of school, but all the corridors are painted, new ceilings. They have accent walls in the corridors. Some beautiful looking building. And then the A, B, and C wing classrooms are also painted. And then I think for ESG's work, I think the most impressive thing that they accomplished this summer was the roof replacement over the A wing. When the air conditioning systems went off at the end of last year, I guess with the lack of air movement, there was some mold growth that occurred in a couple of the classrooms, so we had to replace this roof. And so I think within a 3-week period, 1 week they were able to coordinate ordering the equipment, the next week demolishing, and then completing the work that last week, right before the kids came back to school. And I walked it this week. We were up on the roof, and they did a really good job. Just wanted to start out with kudos to ESG on the amount of work that they've done this summer. Before I let Paul go through the photos, just 2 other updates I wanted to give. Beecher Road School and the town is filing for a state grant application. And we had a meeting with the state, and it will be a pretty large and sizable application for grant reimbursement. When we met with them, they gave us the guidelines for what's eligible and what's ineligible, and they break it down just like that. Ineligible items are repair and replacement items, fuel switch items, those are ineligible for reimbursement. But any new construction, anything that's code required, and any new features to the building are eligible items for state grant reimbursement. So the items that we're applying for, and we'll submit the application, it'll be ready at the end of this week. The state will review it, and they'll let us know if they agree with everything we're submitting for. But we are submitting according to the guidelines they told us for our meeting. So it'll be the roof in the A, B, and C wings, the window wall systems in the A, B, and C wings. The thing that we didn't factor in earlier is the air conditioning. The air conditioning is a new feature for the building. So that means all the mechanical equipment that we're replacing, but we're replacing it now with air conditioning capability. So that should all qualify for state reimbursement. And then also the casework in some of the classrooms wasn't ADA compliant before. Now it'll be ADA compliant. So that's a code issue, so we're going to include that also. The items that are not eligible is the lighting replacement, the building envelope, the transformers, lighting controls, plumbing fixtures, the microturbine, the painting, and then some of the previous areas that were air conditioning where we're just replacing the units, those will not be. And then other work that will get state grants but not under this reimbursement program will be the security systems that will be applied for on the Homeland Security, and then what was the other one that I'm missing? I'll come back to that in a second. There was 2 that we're applying for under different areas. Oh, I'm sorry, the solar PV. The solar PV is not reimbursement.
John, I just want to interrupt for a moment.
Please.
So it's clear when you talk about reimbursement,
Yes.
it would not be 100% reimbursement, it's a percentage of the cost.
Thank you,
right?
thank you. And I wanted to get to the numbers. It's about a 20% reimbursement rate. and we're applying for about $5 million worth of work. So we're putting in an application for approximately around $1 million in reimbursement. And it's up to the state to see what they'll accept if they agree with everything we're submitting for. But that'll be our application. Okay, and the final item that I just wanted to touch base on is good news, is that we also applied for and were awarded a ZREC credit from UI, and this is for the solar energy system. We had always said that a solar energy system was going to be on the project, that we had to apply for a state grant called a ZREC. A ZREC is a Zero Renewable Energy Credit. So we did put an application in. We did bid for this credit, and we were awarded it. So we are going to enter a power purchase agreement with CFIA, which is the Connecticut Clean Energy Finance and Investment Authority. And it's for a large solar array that'll be on the school, on the A, B, and C wings. It'll be about 1,000 solar panels. It'll produce 250 kilowatt hours, kW, 250 kW of power. And so it's totally financed, owned, and operated by CFIA, operated by the state. They do all the installation, they maintain it, and we enter an agreement to purchase power for them over a term of 20 years. And we purchase power at a reduced rate than what we're currently purchasing power. So right now the school is purchasing power at 20 cents a kilowatt hour, and the rate is going to be approximately 6 cents less than that. The vendor that won the winning bid put in a bid of 10 cents a kilowatt hour, but when you add on the taxes on top of that, it comes to about 14 cents. So it'll be a little more than 25% less in what we're paying for that equivalent amount of energy. So with that, I just want to let Paul go over some of the photos and what's been going on this summer.
First of all, thank you, Board, for allowing me to come and visit and give this update. Thanks to Dr. Stella, Margaret, and John for their kind remarks. But let's go through a brief pictorial summary of the work that we have done to date. We started school was out on June the 20th. The teachers returned on August the 25th, and that gave us a 65-day window for primary work. And we still do limited work during school, but we do that with no interruption to the educational processes. Back in November and December of 13, ESG removed 2 old and installed 3 new boilers. Bear in mind, these are just construction photos, so they're not very high quality, but it shows the new boilers that have been in operation now since December, January of this year. This piping that's associated with that, probably only somebody like John or I would appreciate that, but it's a very nice job.
It's fabulous, absolutely fabulous.
Thank you. In the major hallways, the ceilings came out the first week. That was June 23rd. That's it. Above the ceilings, as John alluded, there are several new systems that have been put into place. These are partial construction photos as progress went through the summer. But this is the new copper hot water piping that was down the hallways, the major hallways. Several hundred feet of this was installed. And let's go to the next slide. In addition to that, as John mentioned, there's a new heating dual temperature piping loop that's been installed from the boiler room down to the pool area. And that new steel piping, which is encased in a new insulation that you see there, gives the opportunity for heat and chilled water to go through those pipes, give you the opportunity for air conditioning next summer. It also allows waste heat from the microturbine to go into your pool at some point in the future. Thank you, ma'am. In the S wing, we concentrated the major portion of our work this summer. There was some failing equipment that was in need of either a large injection of money to keep it going for this school year. So we readjusted our schedule and put the A wing as a priority. And within the the S wing, which is in the middle, the rotunda area of the school, the things we installed there, practically all of them were above the ceiling, and there were heating and cooling units in each room, which we call fan coil units. Each room has a new above ceiling duct system, if you would please. The new system has individual control on a remote basis via the internet for a master control of the new system. You'll have considerably more flexibility in the ability to control individual rooms going forward. And after all of those things were put in, again, quite a considerable amount of work concentrated in the S wing. We installed a new 2x2 ceiling grid in the major hallways that were affected. In addition to that, we retrofitted the existing fluorescent light fixtures that were in the hallway, and that retrofit process reduces your load from 50 watts per fixture to 30 watts. So it's a pretty significant savings for you. Please. And that's the new ceiling. Unfortunately, you can't see it, but trust me, there's a nice new ceiling up there, and it really looks nice. Please. In the A, B, and C wings, we removed the old cabinetry that was in place there. There was a sink and a little bubbler that was there. All of those were removed, and as you can see, it was time for something to change there. And we installed a series of new ADA compliant cabinetry, base and upper units, and that's in your A, B, and C wing. That was accomplished this year. John alluded to the A wing roof. That was in the schedule to do. This is a before shot of how it looked. It was a tar and gravel system, and we removed that. As it turns out, the last two rooms of the A wing had some water damage that necessitated the need to replace the gypsum decking beneath the roof as well as the roof. So we had that done, if you would please. This is existing roofing coming off the old tar and gravel system. And this is the removal of the existing gypsum deck in the areas of the two rooms that needed to be replaced. Please. This is a possibility, I thought, for a new skylight in one of the rooms looking upward. Did not work out that way, and we had put metal deck over that. So the metal decking, I apologize for the photos being a little dim, but there's a new metal deck which forms the basis of the structure now that holds up the new roofing system that happened. It does. Definitely helps. Yeah, that definitely helps.
All over.
I forgot where I was. And this is the white PVC roofing membrane that's on top. That roof at that point in time was substantially complete. Please. A next facet of work we did, and this is ongoing now, we actually started this work last Saturday, is the A wing and the C wing window walls. As part of the contract, we are to remove those walls, replace them with a new energy efficient wall system, new unit ventilators on the inside of the rooms, and new cabinetry on those exterior walls as well. And this is where the first wall was taken out and temporarily boarded up. Room A5 was the recipient of the first wall, and again, a progress photo. This isn't totally complete, but it is substantially complete, and you can see that the new window wall matches, or very closely matches. When you make a job site visit, you'll see that the colors look very much now like the K-wing. So now when you look at the school when we're done, you'll see a much different exterior face just by the different colors that are included. Another facet of the work is painting. We painted all the major hallways in the school, and in the A wing and the B wing and the C wing, we painted accent features. It's a little difficult to see, but you can see the red feature area that's in the foreground. In the very background, it's solid blue, and it's very, very nice. Makes quite a different appearance than what we had last year, and it's very good. I think it's kind of also a wayfinding method also with children, so that they know to go to, by color to where they're going, and that was accomplished. And what project would be complete without taking out all the old toilets and putting in new water-saving toilets? That's my summary. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions for John or Paul? No?
Thank you, Paul and John, for your report. I did have a question. I know that due to the late start, we had a little bit of a scramble, and that a few of the classrooms had to be moved for a day or so when we started the school. Other than that, are we? I believe that you said that your final date of finish completion is still on target. Are we still on target to be able to complete it as planned without any other disruptions or further disruptions to the classrooms or to the school itself or the school environment?
John, I can answer that. Yes. What we have done is modified our schedule to some degree so that with the permission of the school and Dr. Stella and his team, the last thing I mentioned was window wall work. We would have liked to have accomplished that when students were not here. However, we've put together a schedule that allows for a one-day absence in the room of the children, and then it takes us about 4 days to do the physical work, but this is night shift work as well as daytime work. And the students are impacted one day. They go on a field trip to some other place in the school. Dr. Stellas and his teachers have done an excellent job of making it, an adventure type thing. And that part is different than what we had originally planned. However, this does allow us to accomplish everything we had wished to do. It actually gets us one wing ahead of what we intended to do. We will accomplish the C wing window work, which we did think about would be in the 2015 work.
So there's no more anticipated work that's going to be needed during the school years that wasn't anticipated before. This was
right.
The late start, and we moved.
Yes, we have back behind the doors and behind the scenes work that we will be doing throughout the year, always under the authority and approval of the school. But those things were always planned. There's some transformer replacements, there's controls, a lot of control wiring, a lot of computer programming takes effect. Those are behind the scenes type things. They were always planned for the school year, and those will continue. But as far as other impact that I know of, no.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, thank you both very much.
Sure.
The next item on the agenda is a resolution which is necessary in order for us to pursue the grants, or at least one of the grants that John Rice spoke about. It's in your packets. Is there a motion to approve a resolution that the Board of Selectmen authorizes the Woodbridge Board of Education to apply to the Commissioner of Education to accept or reject a grant for the energy modernization and security enhancements at Beecher Road School?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
This is one of 3 resolutions that the Commissioner of Education has requested that a town submit with regard to its application for the grants. The other 2, we've gone over the minutes of prior meetings, and the other 2 resolutions, one concerns the appointment of the building committee for Beecher Road, and the other one is to authorize the preparation of schematics. And we think that there was enough in the authorizing resolutions that were done in prior meetings to satisfy those requests. This resolution that's before you was not in any of the other meetings, so we need to adopt this one.
We had a motion and second. You have that, Jerry. Are there any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next item is the Energy Task Force report. Lisa Connor, Chair of our Energy Task Force Advisory Committee, is here, and Maggie Treichel, I hope I'm saying it correctly, and Laura Fernandez from the committee is also here. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Good evening.
So-
Thank you guys for having us again. We're here to follow up on the residential solar program that we spoke to you a little bit about a couple of months ago. And as the first Selectwoman mentioned, we have Maggie Treichel, who is the director of the Connecticut Solar Challenge.
Hello, how is everybody?
Good.
Who can tell us a little bit more about the program and answer any questions that you guys have.
We had recently partnered with the energy efficiency folks that you've been working very closely with the clean energy communities that you have entered into an agreement of 20% to reduce your footprint by 20% by 2020. There's two sides to that program. There's the energy efficiency, and then there's the clean energy side. You get points through CEFIA for both sides. I'm here to help you reach those goals on the Clean Energy Efficiency Fund.
I think before you go on, that goal of the 20% reduction and all,
Yeah.
I think that happened before some of us were on the board.
Oh, okay.
So do you want to just, if you can, say a few words about that so everybody's up to speed with you?
Mayor Malloy actually had challenged the towns, municipalities individually to reduce your carbon footprint by 20% by 2020. It was by 2018, but it got confusing and somebody said, well, it sounds better if we say 2020. So right now that is the goal. And the goal is two sides. There's energy efficiencies, which is the folks at HES, which is Home Energy Solutions, and UI run that program, and that's to reduce your energy usage. I'm on the clean energy side, and what we do is the renewable energy program, which is solar. And both earn points, and we give back to the town after you have accumulated these points. So each house that goes solar in your town will earn 3 points. And with those 3 points, also anybody who does a lease or a loan through the state will get 1 point per. So with those points, you're going to, you need to have a solar campaign in your town to kind of raise the awareness of the state incentives and federal tax credits that are available to the folks here. And we've teamed up with the energy efficiency people, and we've been very successful working together to raise awareness. They kind of need us because we bring in a lot of people. People are very excited about solar. They want to know more about it. And on the other hand, we bring in the Home Energy Solutions because we feel it's really important to reduce your energy usage before you can even go solar. So we would like to partner in your town, Woodbridge, and I'd like to first of all recognize the task force for being so diligent and really vetting out me too, and had come to quite a few of my different programs that I run, the solar tour that you have come to in Madison, and my workshop that I held in Hamden. So they had come and really seen what my program is all about. We're just about giving the information to the residents. And I'd like to set the goal of making your 100 points through CEFIA, which is the Clean Energy Finance and Investment Authority, and I'd like to match it by leaving you guys with the same amount. If you meet that goal, we will match with the solar array at the end of the program. And my program is a 6-month program. I start off with a lead by example. So we take somebody who in your community and we do a site assessment on their house, and we really, what we'll do is we'll invite the news to come and see the process, and then we'll put it in the papers so people get an idea of what the program is about. Then we do a kickoff with a try to find the solar ambassadors who are in your town already, people who have already gone solar that can really help out the program and give people in the community more advice from your neighbors. And then we have one early bird workshop, and that's to get the information kind of leaking out. And then we have our main workshop. And after that, we have some solar tours, which are a lot of fun. We open up a house. We'll even do a live installation where we'll invite people to come down and see as they're putting the panels on and explain the process. There's no cost to the town for this program, and in fact, we end up leaving you guys with a solar array for one municipal building, along with Cephia.
So maybe one of you could explain a little bit more what this would mean for homeowners in Woodbridge. What kind of program are we making available?
What I'm making available is I have already done pre-negotiation with one solar contractor who's going to come in alongside of me. I actually invited him here today. Is Chris Lenda from Aegis. He's the president. What we do is we negotiated a phenomenal price. It's usually a tiered structure pricing, but we had found that some towns didn't like the tiered structure because some of the residents were getting turned off by being the early adopters and having to go in at a higher price with chance of getting a rebate. So we had negotiated that to be not the case here, with one tier level of being able to go down one level. So there would be one goal that you can make because goals are good, and that entices people to sign up. So with that, we also are giving them all the information at the workshop, all of the questions that they would possibly have. We have ready for them to be answered. Residents are encouraged to get a site assessment, which is free, and basically that's when a solar contractor will come out to the house, check for shading, find out if they have a good roof structure for solar, and if they can, they'll give them all the information about state loans and leases that are available or buying options, financial options. As I said, Cephia has made loans and leases very attractive for residents here in Connecticut to take advantage of, and that will all be explained at the workshops.
And as
Thank
Maggie
you.
suggested, one of the benefits for residents is it can really help simplify what can be a very murky business process by providing sort of a central source for education and information about all of this.
So in other words, if someone is interested in solar for their home, this would be one source of information, easy to get the information, and a good price for the panels, as well as information about other financial benefits, tax benefits, and the like.
Absolutely.
We've done the legwork so that to simplify, to facilitate the process for the town residents, so it would be a win-win situation for them.
Great. Are there questions? Anybody?
There's a 6-month, I'm looking for the word that you used, but 6-month challenge. You have the deal with the town for the 6 months or for a year?
It's actually it would be a year program. My campaign runs for 6 months, so I will be actively encouraging people in the town to go for the challenge, to participate in the challenge. After that, the solar contractor has 6 months to close out all of his contracts, and then we can leave you with a size system. It takes some time to put in solar panels. There's a lot of processes that do have to get completed, and we want to make sure that you're getting all the points. So that's why we give the program a year.
Okay, so the 6-month challenge is really your campaign.
Yes.
However, for the year, the pricing and the structure stays
Yes.
the same.
Stays the same.
And it's 1 year that the town is signing on for. Okay, there's one question. I was reading the outreach of what basically our responsibilities as a town were to you. And I had a few things that maybe you can help me clear up. I read where the town creates a liaison, the town helps to get your press out, includes you on our website, helps you with advertising, that type of thing, press releases, and so on. And then a few others that are down here I didn't really quite understand. But it looks like the town is going to make accessible the building department so that you can reach some planning with them, including a fixed permit fee of $100. Is that typical in all towns, the fee, or you come up with a structure?
Not all towns are able to do it. There is processes that we would be able to help some towns negotiate this streamlined pricing. It is something that the state is encouraging towns to adopt, especially during a 6-month campaign such as mine, where things are coming in very fast, and they want to prepare your building department for the overload that you're going to get of interest from solar. So with that, your building department usually doesn't really mind talking about the streamlined process. There's not many changes that usually has to happen. We like to get the fixed permitting price. It doesn't always happen. We understand that, but
I'd just like to point out that there's no obligation on the town to do it. It's just the town attempting to, and if we don't do it, we continue with our usual building permit fees.
exactly.
As if this didn't exist.
Right, and to that extent, 2 others that were on there were the town would provide meeting spaces and a place for you to hold your meetings, and provide a town official to just introduce you or to start the meeting, and to outreach to the local clubs, town clubs, groups, faith-based, so on and so forth. And again, that is not a requirement, that's just you're asking us for a
We're hoping that you can work with
cooperation.
us. Yes.
Great. And the last one I had, town will choose a building to receive the earned solar from. So the town will pick a building, and as long as it's suitable or fits the requirements,
Absolutely.
that's the building that'll be done.
Yes.
Thank you.
It should also be pointed out that the agreement allows the town to terminate the agreement if it so chooses upon 30 days written notice. So if things are not working well, the town always has the option
Yes.
to get out of it, as does your group has an option to terminate as well.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? I will entertain a motion then to approve the contract and authorize the first selectman to execute the contract.
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to this. The next item on the agenda is the West River Watershed Compact. Again, this is a no-cost compact. It just indicates that with other surrounding towns, we are in favor of helping the West River Watershed become officially designated as a greenway by the Connecticut Greenway Council. And we will have the West River Watershed be considered in planning documents such as our Plan of Conservation and Development. There's been a great deal of inter-community work on this already. We work with Bethany and Hamden and New Haven on the West River. There's been cleanups, there's efforts to create trails and really clean up this river all the way from its source down to Long Island Sound. So is there a motion to authorize First Selectman to sign the agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Really nobody. Great.
Okay, it's not quite 7 o'clock, so we will go to the Public Works Garage Building Committee. And Terry Gilberton is here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's Chris.
Dan Sorensen here just yet.
Do you need to wait for him? We can go to some...
I don't, but I think I can, I'll try to answer your questions as best I can.
Okay.
I think that you have materials in your packages, which
We
is
do.
starts with a letter from Chris, our chairman. And if anybody doesn't have it, I have copies if you need it.
We have them. Do you want to just describe the...
Sure. The Public Works Building Committee met the other evening, Monday evening, to consider numerous change orders, specifically 11 through 17. And they, after some vigorous debate and discussion, have unanimously voted to recommend to you your approval of change orders number 11, 12, 15, 16, and 17. And they did not refer to you change orders number 13 and 14. And any of these that you're interested in discussing, we'd be happy to do so. Backup materials are available in this package. Essentially, this is required. These change orders required at your meeting because this modifies the contract with PDS, the general contractor, and so we get these are very nominal change orders in my opinion, and I recommend, because we'd like to have you see the entire picture. There's on the third page is a Excel spreadsheet, and then of course we're very fond of the pie chart. Who knew there were that many colors available to us? What this pie chart gives us is only the approved change orders to date, including the ones that are proposed here, and showing a remaining contingency of $84,541 from a $255,000 start.
And that's after these...
Correct. That's if it was proved today.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think that, to approve change orders in the abstract without looking at the overall budget, I think is not an appropriate thing to do. So there you are.
Very helpful, thank you. And the agenda refers to a technology bid. These change orders go beyond technology, is that correct? Or they all connected to technology?
No, the technology is a second item that we'll be speaking about.
Oh, separate from these?
Mm-hmm. And we have conducted, on the technology, we've conducted a public bid for the technology portion of the work.
I see, okay.
And this is an items of work that we are responsible for as a town, outside PDS.
Budget, right?
This is fully funded.
Right, that's
Right.
the technology part.
Hey, Chris, oh wait.
These are change orders to...
Change orders are the regular
Gotcha,
work
other
and
things,
the
okay.
detail.
Now I understand, thanks. Glad you asked that, I want to know myself.
Is
Thank
there a
you.
motion to approve change orders 11, 12, 15, 16, and 17 as presented?
So moved.
Second. Any questions or comments?
I actually have a question on number 14, which wasn't approved to come to us. Concrete pads and tank covers, that wasn't a safety, was that more aesthetic or?
Well, we have numerous underground tanks having to do with the truck wash, and there are closely spaced tank covers, manholes, and in my opinion, our original plan, our original budget is to provide an asphalt surface on top of this stuff, fully compacted, warranted, in a usual fashion. We considered that, and we wanted to know what it would cost to pour a concrete pad instead of asphalt in between these closely spaced things, because I think it's more difficult to compact both the earth and the asphalt in those small spaces. We were hopeful that the contractor would see his own benefit to that. And with this price, apparently he does not. So asphalt it is, and I promised him in April that I would be bringing my 4-foot level and measuring any discrepancies, so.
Are there any questions about the items that we are approving? Let's start with those. If not, we have a motion and second? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, did you want to speak about the bid award?
Let's talk about the bid award if you can.
Or did you want to do that later on?
No, you can do it now.
That'll be the last
Okay.
page, just
Okay, fine.
right here, it says Omni
Yep.
Data.
And our original budget, our original public bid yielded 2 bidders, and one bidder was an incomplete bid. In other words, he didn't want to bid on the entire scope of the work, and we find that non-responsive to the bid. The second bid was for the entire work, but at a cost of $97,655, which exceeded our budget. And so what we did is conducted a scope review, and we wanted to know from him what he thought he was bidding on and how we could affect savings. And we conducted a rather vigorous review, which resulted in about a 26% reduction in his bid. It is now within our budget, and then some. And so, based on that, there's a letter dated September 8th that goes through exactly what those details are. He priced those details on the next sheet, and the conclusion is that we were able to reduce the scope of the project without losing any functionality that we need to operate our public works.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Terry? If not, is there a motion to approve the technology bid to Omnidata?
Second.
Any other questions or conversation? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Okay, 7. Well, it's just before 7 o'clock, but I think there are some people here for public comment. Is that correct? We'll start with the people who are here.
I printed up something about the water for everyone that I thought might make it simpler to kind of get why everyone's upset about the water at the shelter.
Yeah.
Would you like me to leave them for
Would
the
you
people that aren't
start with
present?
identifying yourself?
Laura
Yeah.
Torrance, Vernon Court, Woodbridge. Should I leave them for the people that aren't present?
Sure.
Sort of self-explanatory. That's the first page. Would you like to do it? Show one. Okay. All right. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. So here we are again, talking about the water. But first, I'd like to talk about some more positive things about the shelter. It's running well, and our team of officers and volunteers are fantastic. In the month of August, the volunteer group is running like a clock. We had 14 pets adopted, 9 pets retrieved by their owners. The shelter received 221 phone calls. At present, today, we have 9 dogs, 3 cats, and 1 ferret. We received 221 phone calls about animal issues, and we had 122 visitors and 61 calls out by the officers.
Laura, just to clarify for people who might not know it, when you say we, you...
Well, I'm talking
there is
about
a
the shelter.
volunteer.
I'm just someone that sometimes mans the phone, but the shelter, the animal shelter. Quinnipiac Valley Health has issued a request to the shelter's officers to attend a special meeting due to the overwhelming amount of investigations of rabid wildlife in the state of Connecticut, something that seems to be growing, and it is something that they had never dealt with in the past to this number. And it is going to be something that our officers are going to have to deal with that is going to take up a lot more time than they've had. People are very nervous about bats and rabid animals, almost to the point of craziness, because it's not every bat and every animal they see is not rabid, but people are very nervous about it. Our town has 3 public safety departments, which I'm sure everyone here knows, but I don't know if the public knows, and that's police, fire, and animal control. The first 2 are very well staffed. They do an excellent job, and they have all the tools to do their job well. Yet animal control lacks some of the basic tools. We have 2 officers that cover 3 towns 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, with kennel help at present only 5 days a week. I know we're looking for another person, but as of yet we don't have one. The town has supported us to the best of your knowledge and has really tried to help the shelter in every way you can. But however, we lack a van to transport big cages, which is very difficult. The cages are heavy and need 2 people to put on top of the trucks that they do have, which are also outdated. The shelter only has fencing on 2 sides, and we were promised last year that it was in the budget to put the fencing up, and it was told that once the budget went into effect in July, that the fence was going to go up. I don't know what happened. Now for the water again. The shelter began having trouble, which that's what I put together there for you to kind of see just some numbers, back in December of 2010. The first tests were done in the summer of 2011, which I don't have access to any of those results, and I don't know where any of those tests are. But what I have here today, when you have a chance to look through those, I tried to make them as simple as possible. Please read them when you have time and draw your own conclusions. Those are 2 tests that were done this year. In the summer, 1 test was drawn by a town employee, the other one was done by myself in the presence of a volunteer. Both tests are dramatically different. They show very different results. I think it's because the well is failing, from what we can surmise from the research that we've done. The water at the shelter, it's hot, it's cold, we have pressure or no pressure at all. It makes the cleaning job there very difficult for the people there. Bathing the animals is dangerous because the hot water, even though it works sometimes, the water goes very, very hot, then it's off. We had no hot water for 2 weeks, which the town worked very hard to correct, but still, it's a town facility that had no hot water for 2 weeks. We have sick animals there that need to be bathed. They have diarrhea all the time as a result of, we don't know what, we suspect the water. We use 5-gallon bottles. The shelter uses 5-gallon bottles of water, which weigh approximately 48 pounds. I wonder how many other town employees would be expected to lift 48-pound bottles of water to do their job, to give the animals potable water. If we use the sink, if they use the sink there, the animals get diarrhea within a couple of days. Many of the outside plants are losing their leaves. The edges of the leaves are drying and falling off. 2 of our volunteers who are there daily own a greenhouse. They feed the plants, they prune the plants. They're being tended as well as any plants could be tended, and yet they're failing. They're watered with the hoses. We don't water them with bottled water. I believe the building maintenance staff is trying their best to correct this problem, but they can't seem to figure it out. I'm told when I'm there, I've asked over and over and over if the system is being maintained. I myself have a very high iron, which so does the shelter, and I've been told it's being done, it's being maintained. Barlow is the company that the town uses. When the man did show up to service the system, I was told, oh yes, it's been maintained. The iron filter was just serviced. When the man did check the filter, indeed, it hadn't been serviced in 9 years. How many times can we ask if the water's safe for the animals? It's not safe. The hot water heater was replaced in 1.5 years. Why? We say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I recognize that the men in the town department are trying to fix it. They don't have the knowledge to do it. We need someone new to come in and assess the situation. I was offered by the woman at Greco and Haynes, Mary Beth, who lives here in town, that she would come in and do it for free, a free assessment. They do that from that company. We don't have to use her, but she said a year ago she had made that offer, and she was told she was not authorized, not by this administration, but when the police were in charge of the shelter, that she could not go down to the shelter and do an assessment. So she said she needed town authorization. We have Geo Hatch, who is right here, a local company. They too could come in. We could ask Quinnipiac Valley Health if they'd like to assess our water and give us a reading. Again, it doesn't cost money, but when winter gets here, we have no storage for all these 5-gallon jugs. So I think this is an emergency, something we really need to figure out. And I know you're busy, but it needs to be corrected somehow. We need to figure it out. The animals get sick if they are given the water, and Karen and Paul, part of their job is to save the animals from being sick. I mean, they're already abused and neglected when they come there. And I don't know. It just seems that, I know you all have a job. You have to check your balance sheets and make sure that we're not spending more money than we need to, but I know you have an interest in bringing in another town, which I think the shelter probably could handle if we had the ability to use water that was efficient, that cleaned the runs properly. It would speed things up by so much that things could get done so much faster. When you're spraying with a hose that's dribbling out and then the water comes out fast, it could really do a lot. And I'll close by one quote that I know a lot of you come down. Beth has visited the shelter. Joe has. I know you were there, Ellen. I don't know what you had time to look at or not look at when you were there. But try to think of the suffering that you all spare yourselves the sight of. And that is said by Albert Schweitzer. Please consider really trying to correct this problem. We really need it corrected.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks for your time.
Anyone else here for public comment?
My name is Lynn Donato. I am a volunteer at the shelter for 6 days a week, and this is little boy who is a product of the shelter. I brought him to put a face on what we're talking about concerning the quality of the water that Laura has just explained. The water, we don't know if it's killed any animals, but we know for certain that they're not getting any better with the water that they're given. As Laura also explained, the clean water that they are given is given in 5-gallon containers, which weigh how many pounds? 48 pounds?
About 45 to 48.
So either Karen, Paul, Laura, or I have to pick it up and individually put that water in everybody's bucket in the kennel. Those are heavy buckets. It's counterproductive, and it's a waste of time and energy that all of the volunteers and the officers can be doing something much better than that. You know, we've been asking for water for a long time, and we've gotten maybe people who've come in and it's sort of like a bubble gum and glue and elastic band kind of solution. We've been told that our water filter is 42 years old. It got cleaned the other day. Didn't make much of a difference, but it made a heck of a lot of foam, like a beer being poured from a tap. And I wouldn't drink it. I wouldn't expect my animals to drink it. I don't expect the animals at the shelter to drink it.
I know that you are aware of the situation. Laura has just given you all statistics on the new evaluation of the water problem. And what I'd like to say in conclusion is I'm begging for compassion here, and if we can put finances aside just a bit and just look at these little creatures who come in sad and lonely and depressed. This guy was thrown out on 63, Route 63 in Bethany with another dog. The other dog was in perfect health. This little guy had 2 bad legs, subluxation of the patella. You can see his scars. When he got to the shelter, he was walking on his front legs and lifting his hind legs up because he was in such pain. Kudos to Karen, who got him to a doctor immediately, gave antibiotics, and we searched for surgeons to help this little guy with an operation. We found Bernie Siegel, who asked in his articles in our newspaper if people would please contribute anything they could to help this little guy with an operation. We got such an outpouring of letters and money, and I think I did show you the letters at one meeting of a little boy named Charlie who said, "This is for little boy," well, his name was Henry, but we call him little boy now. "This is for Henry for his operation. It's only $2, but I want him to get better." That I have in a folder in my book with all the letters of the compassionate people who donated their money to his operation. He came out fantastically. A wonderful surgeon performed the operation, and he was running and jumping, and the surgeon said, make sure he doesn't jump and run. First night out with his little casts on his hind legs, flew across the bed like a flying squirrel and landed on the floor. And I thought, oh, there goes the operation, but it didn't hamper him at all. The dedication that's given by these people, since I've been volunteering 6 days a week, I see how these people dedicate themselves endlessly, coming in at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning with injured dogs into the darkness of that shelter, which concerns me a little bit because I don't think it's quite safe at that time of night. If we could have, and which I know we did talk about security cameras to help, just monitor the goings on after hours, that would be an excellent thing that we could have. Oh, yay. Okay.
Lynn, I really appreciate what you've told us. We have a very long agenda, so if there are other points, otherwise I think we totally hear what you're saying. And
ending, I would like to just appeal to your compassion and take the financial situation out of it and see what we can do, getting fresh, clean water into the shelter. We're not asking for a cure for cancer, just clean water. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.
Is there anyone else here for public comment?
I just have a question.
No, we're not going to engage now.
The idea is you guys just want to have consistent water pressure and have a reliable water filtration system.
I'm sorry, did you want to speak at public comment?
You can't
Oh, you're speaking.
Oh, sorry.
Would you say your name and address for the record, please?
Leland Torrance, 17 Vernon Court. No, I didn't really know what it was about. I was just here with my mother to support, but I was just asking if that this was just about you guys wanted to have reliable water pressure and reliable filtration system, correct?
Yes.
Okay. No, I just wanted to clarify.
Thank you very much. Did you want to speak?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Leanne Russ, 14 Cornfield Lane, and I'm going to be really fast as I have my 3 boys with me. But as somebody who bathes the dogs, so a lot of them come in order to get them adopted out, they need to be bathed, cleaned. What I find is that it's crystallized all over the nozzles, so I can't get anything. I can hardly turn it on. Also, too, I always thought, well, dogs, they can drink out of a puddle. What does it really matter? However, we are spending so much money on medical bills right now for constant diarrhea and other problems that they can't identify a cause. So I am going to say that I do think by us putting this on the back burner that it becomes a financial burden to the town because we're paying for